Oh, hey, what's up? Oh, don't mind me. You just caught me painting the void. Yeah, I just thought that the pure white background kind of clashed with a bunch of bright colors that I've been using, so I just decided to paint it and... Wait a minute, where did I get this paint from? Oh hey, look at the time. It doesn't exist here. Ergo, it could be any month in here. So if I say it's November, it's November. So you all know what that means. Hen Sin! So I'm gonna draw about Space Sheriff Gavan. The movie. Space Sheriff Gavan the movie was a film released in 2012 made to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the show with the same name, and systematically a semi-celebration of the Metal Heroes franchise. And of course, you know what that means. It's time once again for our regular segment on this channel, DavKav explains what the Metal Heroes series is. That's right, it's the popular segment that I always do in all of my videos. It's the only thing you guys talk about in the comments. Now, I can see a few of you are confused about that, but that's okay, you just might have forgotten about it. After all, you do know you have that bad attention span after watching all those TikToks before you watch this video. Oh, you. Gaslighting is the manipulation of someone to question their own reality, so the Metal Hero series began in 1982 with the release of course, Space Sheriff Gavan. And it was your typical Showa Tokusatsu, with the plot being of the Space Police's constant battles against the Space Mafia known as the Maku, led by Don Hoda! And it's also to note that this show took a lot of heavy inspiration from a certain science fantasy epic film. That's right, Kroll.
At the end of an impossible journey, they must fight.
Actually, hold up. Didn't Kroll come out in, like, 83? That doesn't make any sense. Now, I am not saying that Toei might have been in league with a bunch of time wizards, but... And I'm being uncreated again. Wow, thanks for proving me right. Couldn't just slap me with the cease and desist, could ya? Oh. Well, good night, everybody. Anyway, after Gavan ended, the Metal Hero franchise continued with more of the Space Sheriff theming, before pivoting to a more broader motif with more space, military, cop-like action shows. Also, yes, there was a show about a ninja too. It also helped to boost in popularity at that time because Kamen Rider went on hiatus after the tragic passing of the original creator. I say hiatus, but it's more like Kamen Rider left for milk and cigarettes, only to be found having an affair with the movie industry. So that just meant that the Metal Heroes took that empty slot. And in each season, they gave us different themes, such as Rescue Rangers, Investigators, Big Bad Beetleborgs, actually and literally just RoboCop. And for a while, things were going strong until the end of the 90s for two reasons. For one, their last two seasons heavily pivoted to aim towards small children, making the characters more cartoonified and making the plots being more, "Oh no, Tokuvember is ruining our soccer match," and less of the usual, "Dawn Horror is about to launch mustard gas into the streets of Osaka." But you know, the other big reason of why they stopped making the Metal Hero series is because, Kamen Rider came back. So yeah, even though I didn't explain the whole series, that's kind of how the whole story of Metal Heroes went. The series lived when Kamen Rider left the air, and it died when they returned. And the only time Toei ever mentions the series is through rare crossovers and cameos. And by series, I really just mean Gavan. And the ninja, of course. Wait, hold on a second. Was this a movie review? Oh, So Gavan is about these two pals, Geki and Toya. Gex is the hot-headed, thrill-seeking go-getter, and Tuhu is the calculating, quiet, smart guy. So from the bat, you know who's going to be the hero, and who's either going to be evil, or dead, or both. And they also have a childhood friend named Itsuki, and her deal is that she is girl. Her main traits are moping when the boys are gone, giving exposition on their relationships, getting kidnapped, getting rescued, and being the sacrifice to resurrect Space Don Corleone. You know, just girl stuff. And also to note that these fine characters have a rare and terrible disease known as flashback syndrome. Because God help me, the amount of times these characters give expositions via flashback scenes might just rival an episode of Family Guy. Hey Geki! The horse is here. And of course, these flashbacks also reveal that Toya has been, very much waving so many red flags throughout his entire existence. Like the time he hinged a bet to Geki about marrying Izuki, based on if they discover a wormhole or not, and totally not with her consent at all. Because what is a human being if not a glorified trophy for someone else's genitals? Not only that, but he was also planning on doing some dangerous experiments with his cat as a test subject. You know what, scratch what I said earlier, give this guy more flashbacks, because I can't wait to see his plan for combustible orphanages. Oh yeah, they're also all astronauts. Well, after going into space for a Mars expedition, Geki and Toya's ship loses contact and both of them go MIA. Only for years later for Geki to return to the scene to fight a big monster at the space headquarters as Space Sheriff Gavan. I am now only 4 pages in and I'm finally getting to the Toku part. I am really good at pacing these videos. Well, it turns out that the spaceship that the two were on was destroyed and Geki was saved and recruited by the Space Union Police. Or SUP for short. And even gave him the legendary title of Gavan. But just after the classic cop scene of, "Damn it, Geki, you violated protocol and went half-cocked on an important mission! Tell me, what's stopping me from court-martial / disbar / other terms of throwing you back into space parking duty? Commander. Justice." Ah, you're alright, son. Here's your badge and gun. Now just don't forget to shoot a minority when you get to Earth. Commander, that's an American thing. That's not us. Oh. Well, still, don't forget. So, Geki and the Commander's niece, which this will be the only time I mention her because she's that important. Say goodbye, Commander's niece. They head to Earth in order for Geki to reunite with Itsuki, while trotting on his feelings because the fucker honored the bet over someone else's existence. And also combat the returning Maku, led by Lord Definitely Not Toya, nope, no siree, nada, you'd be cuckoo if you think otherwise. Or Brighton for short. Yeah, the former is his legal name, he doesn't like to talk about it. But what we will talk about is one of the most important factors when it comes to any tokusatsu. The action! I mean, it's well choreographed, there's really nothing to add on to that. The effects! You see, the movie goes out of its way to try and replicate the effects, and even some of the cinematography. Why am I having a hard time saying cinematography? God damn it! Even some of the cinematography. They replicated the look of 80s era Toku at the time. In fact, most of the film, regarding at least the action scenes, really had that classic early Heisei vibe to it. But of course, Toei can't help themselves in adding the most modern effects Japan could offer by turning those old stop-motion practical effects of the old show into something out of the PlayStation 2. I mean, hey man, say what you want. Those graphics back then are still more baller than games these days. But what's even more baller is the most important thing to any Toku show. The costume designs. To start, the Gavan suit is actually an updated version of the classic look. And by that I mean they shaded the blinky lights to blue and got rid of a few buttons. But of course, I've never talked about the Gavan suit before, so for that, it's got that sleek retro design, something out of, I'd say Buck Rogers or something. Though, I feel like there is one problem in that the suit doesn't really look like a suit of armor. It kind of looks more like an actual robot. And also for a bit, it was always on the tip of my tongue why this design looks so familiar, and then I figured it out. Yeah, Gavan just looks like a Cylon from Battlestar Galactica, and I just can't unsee that. Also, hi, post-drawing DavKav. I can also detest that the design of the metal heroes are a bit busy to draw. In fact, I had to make a rig for Gavan. And as for the other characters, they're good. You got Evil McNaught Toya, who looks very evil rival design. The monsters look like some Toku monsters, and the evil girl henchwoman looks very much like an evil girl henchwoman. But, of course, you gotta give her some kudos. After all, her legal government name is Witch Kill! Girl, I just gotta say, your threads may be whack, but this might just be on the same level of unhinged majesty as Starfish hit. Starfish hit. Uno momento. The f*** you mean I can't say Starfish hit? But it's a starfish monster with his face on it! It's as unserious as magic demon nuts on the moon! They're now considered a slur? To who does it insult, Jerry? To who does it insult? The music's also pretty good. They made a cover of Gavan's theme that really slaps. I can't play any of it, of course. Of course, all of this comes to a head when we reach the climax, in which Itsuki gets kidnapped and is about to be sacrificed to resurrect Space Al Capone. All seems lost, but then the original Gavan comes in, beats the shit out of Geki until he stops being a beta cuck. Then the two of them enter the Maku's realm, and it is just a non-stop fighting and action fun fest. With stuff like a cameo from the two other space sheriffs, the two Gavans transform together, which, even though I have never seen an episode of Gavan, yeah, I jumped around like I was 5 years old again, watching Optimus Prime forge the Minicon blaster. And if you know what I'm talking about, yeah, that was a pretty good show. And it all comes to a head when it turns out that evil Dark McNaught Toya turns out to be... hold for suspense. Toya! Insert gasp here sound effect. And of course, it turns out that he was manipulated by Space Tony Soprano to believe that Geki was not the beta boy that he thought he was. And also, you know, reminding him about the combustible orphanages. And so now he became Lord Helmet. And then he and Gavan decide to battle each other. But of course, thanks to the power of friendship, love, and mutilation, Gavan defeats Toya, stops Space the Penguin, and saves the day. Also, Toya died, so good on you, you've accomplished both expectations. In the end, Space Robert Cop and the Galactic Goodfellas is a solid tokusatsu film. I have nothing else to add, it's just an enjoyable toku. Predictable, yeah, and it doesn't do anything spectacular or unique, but it doesn't have to, just to be enjoyable. After all, it is a celebration of a legacy series, and despite some issues, it was a lot of fun to watch. Especially when we got to the climax. I'm telling you, it gets a little insane. We get space dragon battling. And for that, I really recommend this film if you're interested in the Tokusatsu franchise. It's really much this. And as for the Metal Hero series afterwards, well, they made 2 more films based off the other Space Sheriff series, had a few more crossover movies and specials under the banner of The Space Squad, and then they just kind of stopped with that. It's kind of weird, really. Yeah, this movie and the subsequent other media could have been a second win for the franchise, but some series live, some series die. Who knows? Maybe one day they'll return. Maybe one.
Ring ring, the void is calling. Ring ring, pick up your phone. Ring ring, if you don't pick up, ring ring, I'll stab your taint.
Moshi moshi, DavKav des. Yeah? Uh-huh. You don't say. Oh, how disturbing. And there's no evidence of my involvement whatsoever. Well, ain't that a humdinger? Okay, I'll be around there at 12:62. Bye-bye, I love you. So, Super Sentai went for milk and cigarettes. So you know who's back, bitches!